Isaiah 52, verse 13 to 15. See, my servant will prosper. He will be highly exalted. Many were amazed when they saw him. His face was so disfigured, he seemed hardly human. And from his appearance, the one was sacredly known he was a man. Verse 15. And he will startle many nations. Kings will stand speechless in his presence, for they will see what they have not been told. They will understand what they have not heard about. Hello, it's COD Testimony here, and today we will be talking about the Isaiah 53 prophecy. Now, we have already talked about this in our last video, which I highly recommend you to watch. But today, what we will be talking about is see if Isaiah 53 is actually talking about Jesus. And the only way I can do that is by looking at Isaiah 52, which I have already shown you a little bit of that at the beginning of the video. So what are we going to do right now is I'm going to deeply look into those verses and see how Jesus will be tied up to Isaiah 53. So first we're going to look at verse 13 and 14. So this is God talking to Isaiah, which Isaiah of course is recording on paper. And this is what God is saying. See, my servant will prosper. He will be highly exalted. But many were amazed when they saw him. His face was so disfigured, he seemed hardly human. And from his appearance, the one was sacredly known. No, he was a man. So, this disfigured person that is a servant to God was a man. So a servant who looked disfigured, hardly human, knew that he was a man. So when you look at the story of Jesus, when he was raised from the dead, he actually had a new body. And we know this because when Jesus first met his disciples after he died, he literally teleported into the building. So we know that Jesus' body was changing. So Jesus actually turned from a human to a spiritual body that Jesus had. So we can see here by looking at two verses that this could tie up to Jesus. This Isaiah 53 could be prophesying about Jesus, because we see here that Jesus was a man, but then he became into the spiritual body person. So let's read verse 15. And he will startle many nations. Kings will stand speechless in his presence, for they will see what they have not been told. They will understand what they have not heard about. So, what I thought about this at first, I was like, huh? Because Jesus did say that the whole world must hear the message of the kingdom before he will return. But I remember that you can hear what someone is saying, but you don't have to listen to it. You can hear what someone is saying, and you don't have to listen to it. And although it says here that it says they will understand what they have not heard about, but you have to realize is that this is not the original text. The original text was Hebrew, and based on what they thought was correct, they will see that that when they're trying to translate it to English, it can get a little bit messed up. That's why I use Step Bible, which you can see in my first video that I have made. And you also have to realize is that many people today do not listen to the message of God. They can hear about it, like when you say like have you heard about Jesus? Like, yeah, I heard about Jesus. But they probably have not listened to it. And they probably don't understand what will happen until Jesus comes himself. And when Jesus will come to this world, the people will finally understand what they have not listened to. They will finally realize that those Christians were right. Jesus was coming soon. They will finally understand what they were not heard about. So now we have tied this up with Jesus. To the Jews and the Muslims that are watching this, we all agree that God, the Father, is real. And he created all of us. But the thing that splits all of us apart is Jesus. Jesus. Jesus died on the cross. But he did rise up again. And he died for our sins. But the Jews and the Muslims believe that he was a sinner. And that's what Isaiah said. Isaiah said that in Isaiah 53, that people thought that this was a punishment from God, but it was not. He died for us. He was crushed for our sins. He was whipped so we can be healed. It's time for us to get a step closer to God by believing in Jesus and believe in what he did. Before you leave this video, I just need to tell you this. Read the Bible. If you are a Jew, Muslim, read the Hebrew Bible and read the scriptures that I have talked about, and you will see that it was Jesus all along. So how is Jesus not the Messiah? I'm COD Testimony, and everyone, I will see you later.